Hello, welcome to Thinking Out Loud. I'm Gloria Politis, your host, and this is a special edition of Thinking Out Loud. I have 4 guests with me today, starting with Jay Mason, who is a LEED certified architect, and LEED stands for Leadership
in Environmental, Energy, and Design.
And Design, okay. Thank you. And also Brittany Angelo, correct, and she is with Revision, and they actually do solarizing. And then on this side, I have Gary and Ruth Potwin, who actually have solar panels installed. And I'd like to start with them to let us know how long they've been in Lowell, how long they've had solar panels, and whatever they'd like to tell us, because I think many people don't know how it all works and how efficient it is. So, Ruth and Gary?
Thank you so much for inviting us here,
Indeed.
Gloria. Really
Thank you for
appreciate
coming.
it. We're just so excited to be here and to share our story and our experience with solar. So Gary and I moved to Lowell 9 years ago, and we bought our first home under the first-time homebuyers tax credit. And in 2013, we received a letter from Lowell, from the Green Building Commission, promoting a program called this Lowell Solar Challenge. And in fact, I have the letter right here.
Great.
And little did we know how we would, where our life would go from there. So we ended up putting on 12 solar panels, and on our 3-bedroom modest ranch on Douglas Road. And so far, our solar panels have kept out of the atmosphere over 27,000 pounds of CO2.
Wow.
And in addition to that, 24 pounds of nitrogen oxides and 76 pounds of sulfur dioxides. So we're really excited about that. And our current system will be paid off in about 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And after that, our electricity will be free.
Oh my goodness. And when did you install it?
It turned on, our system turned on in April of 2014.
So, and how do you get all these statistics?
Well, do you want to talk about that, Gary?
Sure. As part of the, okay, how do I say this? When we started up our system, there was what was called the SREC program, Solar Renewable Energy Credits Program. My understanding is this is a Massachusetts state program, and that program is coming to an end as we speak. So that will now be replaced by what's called the SMART program. And basically what it is you have your panels, you have an inverter, and then you have a totalizing meter, which measures all of the energy coming off the system, relays that to a central computer, and that keeps track of the total amount of energy that the system generated. So you get into that computer over the internet, and it has all these nice graphs that show you, what's going on, and that's where the figures she just quoted you came from. Okay, every time you log in, it shows, okay, it's this many pounds, whatever. And so this way you can keep track of what's going on. When we first bought our system, they estimated, these are always estimates, you can't hold somebody to this, but they estimated that we would generate about 4.4 megawatt hours of electricity per year. And so far, we've been making it just about every year. So it was very, very good design, and it has worked out very well. Were you going to talk about electricity bills, or should I?
Well, I think maybe we should talk about our whole plan. I mean, why we're
yeah.
sitting here today.
Yeah.
So we have 12 panels on our roof right now. But one of the things that we learned over the past 4 years is that the first year that we were paying electric bills with our panels on the roof, they were averaging about $8 a month. But then we retired. And all of a sudden the bills went up to about $20 a month. And we said, oh.
Average.
Yes, the average per month.
The
That's
entire
right.
bill.
We retired, but that meant we were home, we're using more heating and cooling, using more electricity. So we didn't put that into our plan for how much electricity we would need when we retired. So that's it's something I'd like to share with folks when they're thinking about the future and how much electricity they're going to need, or how much power in general they're going to need. They need to think about what's coming up in the next few years. So that leads into why we're here today. We had a conversation with one of the members of the Sustainability Council early this year, and they told us that there's going to be a new program called Solarize Lowell. And so as we found out more about that, we started to think about what our next steps would be in our energy plan. So we thought, well, we didn't cover all our needs right now, but where do we want to go from here? So we thought, well, let's see, we want to get off of fossil fuels. So if we added, instead of using our natural gas heating system, if we were to use heat pumps instead, and if we eventually had a plug-in electric hybrid vehicle, which could then be, all those things could be powered from solar panels. So let's design our system, our new system, based upon all those energy needs. So that's why we're here. And we want to share that with folks, and that's why we're going to have an open house, a tour, a solar tour at our home, so that folks in Lowell can come on over, see our system, and see how it works, and ask any questions that they might have. And then the folks from Revision Energy will be there to tell them how the program works, and hopefully people can get signed up.
Tell them when it is.
On December 1st.
All right.
And it's in the morning, I believe.
In the morning, from
From
9 to 11 in the morning.
Great.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
And I know you mentioned your address once, but would be good-
463 Douglas Road. Come on down.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're excited.
Yeah.
The whole, what we're hoping to do is already, she was giving you averages for the electric bill.
Right.
What happens is 9 months out of the year, the bill is zero. And what's happening is you're actually getting credits, which end up as a negative number on your bill. The 3 months of the year when there's, the winter, when there's not enough sun, then of course you're eating up those credits and you may go positive. And so what you're really zero for most of the year, and then you pay for the 3 or 4 months, when you don't have to. So with the additional solar panels that we're going to put on, surely what this is going to do is take our electricity bill and drop it absolutely to zero all year long. And of course, we'll be generating a lot of credits. She was talking about heat pumps. Those, of course, will take, additional electricity. But with the additional panels, this should more than cover that. Okay, and then she was talking about an electric car. And we're also thinking about a heat pump water heater, that sort of thing. So of course, all of those things are going to require electricity. So what should happen is our electricity bill should come to zero. Our natural gas bill should come way down, because the only thing we're going to need natural gas for now will be cooking. Okay, our gasoline bill should come way down, because most of the time the car is going to be running off of the juice that comes off of the car. So all of these things are all going in the right direction, and that's why we're doing this thing. Not to mention the fact, of course, we've all seen the horrid weather recently, the hurricanes, etc. We know there's a connection to global warming, right? So we're trying to do our little bit. We understand, yes, 27,000 pounds sounds like a lot, but what is it, 6 gigatons of carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere every year, something like that. So yeah, 27,000 pounds is not that much, but it's a step in the right direction, and there's all that stuff that we're not putting out there to help.
That's wonderful.
Could I ask you a
Wonderful.
question about the dollars, because that is a huge part of it. I'm motivated by the environmental opportunity, but I think you got to get to opportunity by the pocketbook and the wallet. And you had said $8 to $20 is what you're at now with the
Average.
12 panels.
Yes.
What was your cost before you got the panels, to give folks an idea
Oh, wow.
of the potential savings?
It was, well, it was just the two of us most of the time, so it was
And
running.
we were at work most of the
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
So compared to $8, right?
It was between $60 and $100
Okay.
a month.
Wow.
Give
That's
or
quite a
take.
reduction.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, the things you're planning out into the future are going to be so much more leverage towards efficiency for you.
Right. And if you want to talk purely from economics, if you draw a little graph, start at 0, there's the initial cost of the system, then the federal and state rebates and all of that sort of thing, plus the SRECs, plus another thing that isn't too often talked about is the amount of energy that your system generates. Some of that you're going to use right in your own home. What you don't use in your own home will go out onto the grid, and you'll get, credits for that. But you need to do a separate calculation to figure out how much of the energy that's coming off the system total you're actually using in the home. Take that number of kilowatt hours, multiply by the amount you would have had to pay
Okay.
the utility for. And so the graph looks like this, right? And then it's chugga, 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 chugga. And so at our current rate, we're expecting to be paid off in about 4 years. But we're about to put the new
More panels
solar
on.
system on.
Yeah.
So it's going to go, again, due to the cost of the new system.
Yeah.
But then because there's so much more power, instead of going chugga, 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 chugga like this, it should go, right?
Well, and Gary, if we could, let's compare the payback, right? Because you're talking an 8-year payback. You've been in for 4, you've got another 4, 8-year payback on your 12 panels. Do you have a rough idea of what you think the payback will be based on your projections for the new system?
We don't know yet. I'm guessing, this is pure guesswork, that it should be less than 4 years.
So in
To pay
4
everything
years,
off.
you're looking at substantially less dollars going out the door for energy costs.
Well, those savings will occur almost immediately.
Right.
What I was referring to in the graph here is money that you spent for the systems versus what you're getting from all of the things that I just mentioned, right? And of course, once that thing reaches 0, it doesn't quit. It keeps going.
Right.
So you can either use that money for other things, or you can, sooner or later, anything breaks, right? And so at some point, you may need to put in a replacement panel, a replacement inverter, whatever. There it is, the money coming in, and so it'll pay for itself well into the future.
And so Solarize Lowell is attempting to bring those facts to the table so that people can see that there's an economic benefit.
Oh, yeah.
It's wonderful to talk about environmental benefit and the climate crisis that we face and the struggle that we have trying to resolve this horrible crisis. But it's so much easier, I think, for people to understand, well, I can save big money on my utility bills if I do this.
Oh, yeah.
And then the environmental benefit is gravy.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right.
regardless, Ruth makes a good point that if at all possible, you do want to plan closer to what your energy needs are going to be. But regardless of the size of the system that you put in, there's going to be that
gonna be
much
savings.
more that you will not have to pay in your electricity bills. Of course, the larger the system, the better it gets. But even a small system will decrease your electricity bills.
Right.
Absolutely. I think what you guys are doing is great planning for the future. You're talking about heat pumps, you're talking about electric vehicles, water heater. I mean, you guys are moving in the direction of fully getting off of fossil fuels, which is just amazing. You guys are like the perfect revision solar champion customer that we try to make all of our customers see. So I thank you guys. As somebody growing up in this world, I think what you guys are doing at your home is really powerful, and you're protecting the planet for the next future generations.
Yes.
So
Well, we feel we have an obligation to do
Yes.
that.
yeah,
Yes.
I think it is awesome.
We
Yes.
have the ability to do that right now, and we have a home, and we have a roof. We have roof
Mhm.
space, so we can use that.
Yeah.
And I think policies make a big difference,
Mhm.
but also individual actions make a difference. And so we're trying to do our part here.
Yeah.
Revision is
Yeah.
the selected vendor for Solarize Lowell and did a great job presenting to the city and making it clear that you are the best choice. You're a large organization. You've got your experience base,
Yeah.
making you, I think, the #1 solar provider in the state right now. Isn't that right?
In New England, yes. So we.
Can I just interject?
Yeah,
because
go.
I saw that Revision won an award very recently.
Oh,
Yes.
The leadership team of Revision Energy won the Lewis Family Foundation's Alnoba CEO Environmental Leadership Award, and it stands out as the #1 renewable energy company in northern New England, not
Yes.
just Massachusetts,
Yes.
for building an uncommonly cohesive workplace of employee owners, for their advocacy on climate policy and education, for their philanthropy and community building efforts, and for developing innovative financial models to solarize nonprofits.
Yes.
So
Thank you.
From that point, you
I appreciate that, and thank you, Jay, for bringing up our mission. Revision Energy is based in northern New England, mostly Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts. And like Gloria said, we are an employee-owned company, so it was really awesome. At the age of 25, I am now an employee owner of a large company with 300 other people. It makes me feel very empowered to come to work every day and just be proud of the work that I am doing, but also that my co-owners are doing. But basically what the Potwins are doing is what we strive to see everybody in New England do, is transition off of fossil fuels and get onto renewable energy. So starting with solar is a great place to start, and where we hope everybody kind of learns about revision in this world. Then adding onto your solar panels is ultimately the best step to go. So with Solarize Lowell, it's known as Solarize Mass Lowell Plus, and the plus component of this program is what really attracted us to apply with the City of Lowell to then go through this process with them. And the plus stands for adding on heat pumps to your solar system. So heat pumps have a couple different names: mini splits or air source heat pumps. They're all basically the same thing. And the unit that Revision and Solarize Lowell team are pushing forward is the ductless units. So you can put them into your home, new construction, retrofit. They're really easy for us to implement. And when you combined your electric heating with solar panels, it really brings the cost down by so much, and it's such a benefit for homeowners, and especially landlords too. I think as a renter myself, I'm not able to add on solar panels to my own home or put heat pumps in my units, but I think it's really awesome to be able to be a part of community solar farms and get my electricity that way, which I can chat about. But it's a group system where you can get your solar energy that way. You don't own the land where the panels are on. But then the electricity can power your energy that would give you heating. So if landlords were able to add heat pumps into their homes, I think as a renter, I would be more inclined to go that route for my next apartment. And then the other thing that the Potwins briefly mentioned, which isn't part of the Solarize Lowell Plus program, but that is a huge part of Revision Energy's mission, is electric vehicles. I myself drive a Chevy Bolt almost everywhere that I go. I try to educate everyone I can about electric vehicle driving. It's a great alternative to gas. You can get just about anywhere, and there's charging stations around. Currently I'm charging up at UTech at the moment here in Lowell. And Revision helps people charge their cars faster and have more infrastructure to be able to charge their car. So having those charging stations either at your home or at your business or park and rides, shopping centers, just having more stations out there will be helpful for the future. And then another thing that the Potwins mentioned was water heaters. You have heat pump hot water heaters, which will heat your domestic hot water use off of electricity that, again, solar panels will power. And then battery backup is a really big thing here in Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Maine. Being able to store your solar energy in a battery, and when the grid goes down, be able to use your own power to then supply yourself through the storm. We're seeing leaps and bounds in that industry, and I think people who already have systems will be adding batteries, and people who don't have systems yet will be looking to add batteries and solar together. So
Fantastic.
really looking forward to the future in this industry.
Yes. So, Jay, no, Solarize Lowell is actually volunteers who do that. And I know you're so involved in so many things in Lowell. How did you become involved with this particular program, and what does it entail? Because I think our viewers would be most interested
Sure.
in knowing how they can
Solarize
benefit.
Mass is a successful program that's been in place for 6 to 8 years
Yeah.
and has involved to this point about 72 or 3 communities. So we're not the first to take this challenge
Yeah.
on, and this is not Revision's first rodeo with
Yes.
a Solarize program. But essentially, using the Clean Energy Center and the state DOER, the Department of Energy and Environmental Resources, the city put together an application to the CEC and was able to get the funding and organizational efforts from the state to be able to do this program. And what happens is you put a number of volunteers together. In our case, we've got a cadre of 6 or 8 really dedicated people that are putting enormous amounts of energy and passion into this. It's really exciting to be with these people. It's really a thrill
Yeah.
to be, it's an honor to be working with people who are driven to do something because they think it's right, for no other reason. And that climate change is an enormously complicated and difficult problem that we have to wrestle with and solve. And using gas as an energy source is not the way to go. I mean, look at what happened in Lawrence and that area. It's a scary thing, but it's also an environmentally hazardous thing. And we can't go in that direction. So the Solarize Lowell program, our city has endorsed Revision through that RFP process, looking at proposals. And we are able to, because of that volunteer effort, allow the selected vendor, allow Revision, an opportunity to really reduce their marketing costs, because we're doing it. The volunteer group is using their resources to get out to the public and do the outreach and communication to get people to the table.
Yeah.
And if we can get, our goal is 500 systems. If we can get to anything close to that, we'll be very excited.
Yeah.
And it's a huge challenge, but it's a hugely rewarding experience to be going in at least the right direction. Maybe we don't get all the way to the finish line that we'd like to, but we want to make explicitly clear to people that you can do this. It's a saver. It's an environmental benefit, and it's just what we need to do as a community to move off of where we're at now. We're not going in the right direction. We're getting the storms and the weather types of events that we know are just not natural, and we have to do something about it. Here's a chance to put your foot forward in a positive way in your own neighborhood, under your own steam. It's so exciting to be able to take a step. Climate change is a frustrating, scary thing to acknowledge, and to have a way of doing something about it is really very satisfying. And I think that's the benefit of Solarize Lowell. It's a way to get a very substantial discount to the user. And maybe we should talk about the potential savings as far as related to not doing Solarize.
Do you
So
want to?
the
Yeah.
Solarize Lowell program typically saves consumers 20 to 25% off of the list price of a solar system. And it's similar for heat pump. Other communities have also done thermal solar for their plus component.
Yeah.
So there's ways to get that payback period from 8 years down to 4 or 5 years, even less. We, in my company, just did a program with a commercial client of ours, and they're looking at a 4.5-year payback on 60 panels. That's
Wow.
a wonderful savings,
Wonderful.
and they're very excited about it.
Yeah.
So I think the dollars piece is important. Also, the performance is important. You have a coefficient of performance for electric systems that's 2 to 3 times better than your gas-fired boiler systems. So not only are you going in the right direction with your fuel choice, but you're doing it in a much, much more efficient way.
Yeah. One of the great things with panels is you guys are kind of witnessing now, your panels last a long time. The warranty on the panels is actually 40 years for their lifespan.
Wow.
So panels will be around for a while. Beverly, Mass has panels on their high school that were installed during the Carter administration, and they just stopped working within the last 5 years. And the school, I believe, is going forward with some new panels to continue to get solar energy. But
So what's that, 35,
Ye-
38 years?
yeah,
something
and
like
we're
that?
talking about panels that are made back
And this is
35
old
years ago.
technology.
Exactly. Just think about how much better panels have been transformed now 40 years later.
And of course, as with any technology, you get the famous bathtub curve, right?
Yeah.
So what happens in the beginning, you have very, very high cost per watt.
Yes.
But as the technology matures, you get into economies of scale.
Yeah.
The cost per watt goes way down.
Which is where we're at right now.
Way
I mean,
down.
price of solar has dropped crazy in the last 10 years. I think it's by 75%. So, I mean, technology has just improved and the prices have dropped. And now with this Solarize Lowell campaign,
A program like Solarize is so critical because it brings that technology and it brings that cost advantage to the public in a way that they can embrace it, understand it, act on it, and that leads to others. And we'll get to that critical mass that will allow that precipitous drop of price to really make it a no-brainer.
yeah.
Okay, I'm afraid we need to wrap up. We have
Oh,
run
okay.
out of time. So again, December 1st.
December 1st, 463 Douglas Road, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Lowell.
And to find out more about the program,
SolarizeLowell.com. There's a form on the bottom there where we will reach out and contact you if you're interested in solar for your home or heat pumps.
I think there'll be
Thank you.
coffee served. And
Coffee and
right?
hot chocolate on the 1st.
all right.
Nice.
Well, thank you all for being here. It's been so informative.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching Thinking Out Loud. And we will see you next time.